welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming channel. I've got Andrew with me. I, of course, am Ben. We are coming to you. Well, we're recording the day after the Game Awards. I'll see how the editing process goes. Maybe I'll be able to upload this tonight, but maybe a couple coming at you. Maybe a couple days after the Game Awards. But we're going to use this opportunity as a chance to try and do some other kind of content here for the channel. Things that we're calling kind of mini pods, right? So just like little kind of things where a couple of us kind of come on and talk for 15, 20, 30 minutes about something that interests us, whether it be, from the week or just, something that we didn't get to on a podcast or whatever. So the Game Awards happened last night. Plenty of discourse that emerges, as always, to be expected. It has to happen, right?
I'm clapping like a little seal.
Yeah,
right now.
And so here's the bit, right? I am of the opinion, and I seem to be I'd say it's a majority, and probably a decent majority, not super slim. Like, at least in the channels and the communities that I have kind of curated for myself, I'm not seeing too much negative, but because basically the consensus is like that the 10th anniversary was like the best show that Jeff and his team have put on probably in its 10-year history.
Okay.
Both in terms of how they handled the legitimate criticism that was levied at it last year, about, how it treated devs in terms of, rushing them off the stage, the fucking constant ads, and I mean, everything that's not basically like another world premiere, right, is essentially an ad. But like pretty much these are all games that the ones that are ads are games that studios have bought time for, and they're still just they're commercials for games. There was none of the notorious mobile game ad from last year. All I can think of to describe it was the chicken ad. It was like a weird kind of Clash of Clans type thing, but where it had a bunch of celebrities. But Ken Jeong was in a chicken costume. But
Wonderful.
that ad honestly went for almost 10 minutes. It was an excruciatingly long ad for a mobile game. So there was none of that stuff. But
Okay.
Andrew's coming into this. Basically, he's completely blind. He didn't watch the show. I watched the show yesterday, and that's part of some of my overall thoughts of the show. So I'll hit you with that before we kind of dive in. And I've cherry-picked stuff for you, right? Because if we tried to cover it all, we'd be here for the 3-4 hours that the show went for, and we don't want to do that. But yeah, so my overall thoughts are that this is probably the best Game Awards we've seen in a long time, if not the entire 10-year run. It still had some issues, mainly being it's too long. And that ties into its major problem that has never been addressed, and I don't think is ever going to be addressed, in that the awards are secondary. And it is a far second. Like, it is about announcements.
What are you talking about?
The awards are just a complete fucking afterthought. They at least are not booted off the stage this time. But
So I have a question along those lines, though. So do you think that problem would be rectified if they just simply did away with the 3 to 5 awards that are even more laughable than the rest? Or would they just fill that time with more ads?
I think that they would fill it with more ads, and there are the ones that you can, I think, cleanly get rid of. The esports ones, the content creator one, because, like the stream awards or whatever just happened as well. Though that ilk has their own thing. They don't need to be part of this. But I don't care about the esports categories being lumped together. They will do these things. It's usually how they handle the pre-show, but they will also, during the regular show, Jeff will get up and will just rattle off 5 awards at a time. Do that for if you're gonna have the esports ones, do that for them. I don't care. Get them out as quickly as possible. But what's most offensive is that they do it for the genre specific awards. So best RPG, best action game. Action I think had its standalone time. They would have gotten some shit for that, which we'll get to. You might be able to infer what won there. Best RPG, best adventure game, best family game, all those things just got rolled into one thing. I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Those are big awards.
Yeah. That's yeah. I forget. I always forget that they do that, every time I'm like, what the fuck?
There are some of these awards that are kind of like, oh yay, good for you, like let's do that. Like as much as I want to like the award, game for impact or
I was
whatever,
gonna say that. Yeah, the game
that means
impact.
nothing. That award means nothing. So when they bundle that one with a couple others, I'm like, all right, whatever. But like those genre specific ones kind of bother me. But also the genre awards are kind of problematic to begin with, and like their categorization is a problem, and it's fodder for a whole nother discussion of how the Game Award structures itself is a problem, and how it is, divvying up these categories is kind of nonsensical.
Yeah.
But do I have opinions on how to change that, or like ideas for how to change that? None that are spring to mind or I think are particularly effective. But I will say again, it was a entertaining 4 hours basically. They had less celebrity glazing, like the minimal to no like non-gaming ads. Like The Rock didn't come in to promote his non-gaming movie.
Good.
I don't know if you remember that one.
I do remember that.
The dev acceptance speeches were good. Not that any of them went overly long, or they all felt right, and none of them felt rushed. They weren't shoot off the stage, and they didn't feel like they contributed to its length. It was just there's so many fucking trailers. But I know in the past of showcases and stuff like that, my brain honestly starts to kind of shut down after a while. I found myself being more engaged with this one than I have in a lot of current era showcases.
That's that's about as strong of a statement as you can make about something like this, in my opinion.
Yeah, like all the summer ones this year, just like completely, just like my brain was completely smooth and it just washed completely over me. And as we'll get to, I'll show Jeff actually did he did a growth. He actually made an honest attempt at reckoning with the state of the industry and mass layoffs.
Okay.
And yeah, they did that with what they're calling, it was the inaugural issuing of the Game Changer Award. So I have a clip of that I want to show you. But like that was actually really well done, and I think really well handled, and was spotlighting somebody in an effort that was like doing the real work to kind of make this, or to do this kind of reckoning. So it was that was I think the most important thing. Like overall, I'd give it like an 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10. For show rating, it was surprising. My expectations for Jeff are through the fucking floor, and he managed.
What you just said is I'm happy to hear, because honestly that was my biggest critique of last year's, and I think the biggest critique from the public as well, for the most part, at least again the communities were kind of involved in, was that they didn't really talk to the challenges in the industry at the moment and just kind of glazed over all of it.
Jeff did something last year. He like made a speech like at the beginning where he was like talking about like how, look at all these like small indies that are making waves, like how they've been the high, or maybe that was this summer. He's done something. He's made more significant steps, but this one was I think the most well handled. Yeah. All right, let's jump into it because we're already getting there. I wanna start it off with the big kahuna, what we were all there for, the game of the year, and we'll get to and we'll see whether you agree if it's controversial or not. There is plenty of discourse around what actually won. But before we do that, we will return to the man, Sven Vink himself, who returned to present the award. And I've got like his speech here that I think really, is again, setting a fire to the state of the industry right now. So we should have that going, and you should have audio.
So it turns out that not only will I be the one who will know as first which game wins tonight, I actually also know which game is going to win next year, the year after, and the year after.
It's an inside job, Sven.
An oracle told me. She said, change is coming. It's a modern oracle, so they made me sign an NDA, but I trust all of you. I know you can keep a secret. You will never leak it. The oracle told me that the game of the year 2025 was going to be made by a studio who found the formula to make it up here on stage. It's stupidly simple, But somehow it keeps on getting lost. Studio
Dude,
made
he's
their
just
game
like constantly
because
giving
they
middle
wanted to
fingers
make a game that they wanted to play themselves. They created it
I gotta
because
find
it hadn't
something else.
been created before. They didn't make it to increase market share. They didn't make it
Fuck yeah.
to service a brand. They didn't have to meet arbitrary sales targets or fear being laid off if they didn't meet those targets. And furthermore, the people in charge forbade them from cramming the game with anything whose only purpose was to increase revenue and didn't serve the game design. They didn't treat their developers
I'm bowing to this man right now.
It's mind-blowing stuff, right? You know, this would have never occurred to me. You got to respect your employees, and for a game to sell well, it's got to be a good game.
spreadsheets.
Novel ideas.
Users to exploit. And
Dude,
they didn't make decisions.
You can see it in the corner there. Look at,
you
you can see Phil Spencer sitting kind of front row. He's just stone face.
And the team first, the revenue will follow. They were driven
And
by
see,
ideas
he says it right there.
and
He
wanted
says it
players
right
to
there.
have fun.
That
And they
revenue
realized that if the developers didn't have
follows
fun, nobody
from
was going to have any fun. They understood
how,
the value
treating
of
the
respect.
game, the
And
players
if they
with
treated
respect.
their developers
And
and,
the devs,
players well,
and the
those
most
same
important.
developers and players would forgive them when things didn't go as planned. But above all, they cared about their game because they loved games. It's really that simple.
It's great. He's just doing like the gun celebration pointed at the crowd, essentially, just like firing at them all.
I want to see. I wish I had remembered to pull it up for you, but yeah, it was after all of this, after this speech, to then getting to our winner, which I will reveal for you now. The game of the bet for me. Who do you think won?
So prior to hearing the last 2 minutes of this, I was going to say it was Astrobot. But I don't think Astrobot aligns with what he said. So I'm hoping that means it's metaphor. So we'll see.
If only that were true. You know I would have been over the moon and ecstatic. And I will push back a little bit. I think it does part of it goes to what it says. And your first guess was correct. Astrobot did win Game of the Year this year.
Okay.
And it is a game that is just it's just a pure game, right? You know, this is a joyful expression of a game not trying to be anything other than a fun game. And that's great. And that sends a positive message to the industry, sure. And this is what I wanted to get into, right? Obviously, we all know by now that I'm pushing hard for Metaphor. You know, that's my game of the year. I think it is the most impactful game. It is a game that had such a strong message, but that was also super fun to play and super polished, and all its systems working together to create this tapestry that just so surprising.
I have to tell you something. I downloaded the demo. I haven't started it yet, but I downloaded the demo. So you've got me that far.
I don't think you're gonna like it just because you're not cultured.
I know,
like Matt and I are.
I know.
Like the turn-based stuff is. I think it's too slow. It's not. I don't think it's a slow game. And I think because the calendar system keeps it from being that way. You're always pushing something forward. It's got a unstoppable sense of momentum. I don't know. It's just not your kind of gameplay.
No, it's not. It's not. I know it's not. But I'm just like, you've hyped up the story enough that I'm at least curious enough to give it an hour.
I also think it's too long of a game for you. It's not that the game doesn't get good till a certain hour. It's not that. It's just I think it's just too long of a game to keep you.
That might be the case
with your ADD gaming habits.
I know. What did I have? 48 games played in 2024 or something like that.
Just on PlayStation, yeah. So yeah, I don't know about that, but like that's like what I kind of want to talk to you about. It's like, is it my kind of almost like elitist take that like I think something like the Game of the Year should be awarded to a game that is beyond, doesn't mean excluding being just a fun game. Absolutely. It's got no game, no matter how good its message is, no matter how good its politics, no matter how good its characters, and it has to be fun to play. It has to have good gameplay. You know, that has to exist. You know, can't escape that. That really is gameplay is king. But in my mind, Astrobot's too simple. It's like that. Like people are going to be like, "Oh, like I'm hating on platformers," and I'm like, kinda. It's like I think that a game of the year should be something big and bold and grand, and like the boldness in this is like just like yeah, like that we're shirking that kind of idea, and we have nothing to present to you other than pure gameplay and our kind of brand fidelity, right? That's why it got made, right? That's why something like this gets made, is because it serves to hype up Sony IP and the Sony brand name.
Right.
And that's the mascot.
And that's why I said what I said earlier about it not fitting with what Sven had said, because it's not to say the people making this game and how it was developed don't fit that description, but more so that its tie-ins with Sony IP are so blatantly about driving value.
It's inextricably tied from its corporate
exactly
identity, right?
That was the part of it that I was like, well, with what he's saying, I don't think it is going to be Astrobot, but fair enough.
But here's the point. It's not like Sven actually knew who was going to win when he gave that speech, right? He says
fair.
right there.
I guess that's true. That's true.
He says right there, it's like, I'm going to be the first one to know, but it's not that he knew already.
That's true. They opened an envelope?
Yeah, they've got envelopes.
Okay.
They were even pop-ups. They had pop-ups.
Oh my god, amazing. That's pretty cool. All right, points for that. The Oscars could never do that shit.
No.
But I don't disagree with your statement that Astrobot is a little bit too simple to win this award. Like, I do think a bold narrative, something that brings you in more than just like, oh, I'm jumping around with this cute little guy. Like that. Yeah, I do agree with you that probably deserves more recognition and celebration.
Well, I have to say, I've been requested to ask that I've been asked to make sure I share this, that Matt has been banging this drum since day one. He called it as soon as it released that Astrobot was going to win Game of the Year, and he stands vindicated. He makes this claim that, like, Astrobot has this more general appeal, and it's like, yes, that should make it more successful and more accessible. But in my mind,
so does Marvel movies. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? That doesn't
mean like it spreads the value of the art form more.
But I think that's a more true reflection of how these awards work.
Yes, except these aren't like exactly popularity contests, right? That this has an extensive editorial board that is contributing to these to the voting committee.
True, no doubt, but it's still impacted by that in a way where other like award shows that maybe act like they're more prestigious or are held as like more prestigious would do. Like, it's not like the Oscars has a public vote. Like, if that happened, I guarantee you one of these Marvel movies would have fucking won Best Picture at some point.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got to move on. Just we're already getting this is our first foray into this kind of format and content, and already it's easy to show how we can get a decent discussion out of this. I really got to show you this clip just because it's so funny. So they were presenting best performance, and so they bring out Todd and Troy Baker celebrating the new release of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and so they bring out the man himself. And boy, dude, like, you tell me, is he drunk? Is he just old? What's going on here?
Let's give a big round of applause to these two guys for the Great Circle.
Boy.
Dude, he is just slurring.
He's too lively to just for it to be an old thing, in my opinion.
I mean, he does look old, and he is
If
old.
I'd known
Yeah.
he was so good, I would have done it myself.
But he's kind of jazzed up. That's what makes me think it's drugs.
Look, he's like, fuck this teleprompter shit.
And now, we're here to present the award.
I think it's
for
just
best
they were just
Here are the
peppering him with drinks
nominees.
in the green room, just like, Harrison,
Best
we're so happy
performance.
you could be here. You could join us.
Just look at it all.
We
It's
can we can skip past the actual.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, he just had one too many martinis before going out.
But then he gets
And the winner
he
is
gets the winner's name wrong too.
Melinda Juergens.
It's Melina Juergens. So I had to share that with you.
Beautiful. I'm so glad you did. That was wonderful.
I think he's super drunk.
I think so. I think so.
So we talked about how, before we start recording, the only thing that you kind of got spoiled on was how The Witcher 4 got a reveal.
Yeah.
And it, of course, has sparked the usual suspects. However, this is one bit of thing that I didn't even catch in the moment, that as it starts, it says, that this has been pre-rendered on unannounced NVIDIA GeForce GPU. So it's like, not only is it showing us our first look at The Witcher, but it's also potentially showing us the first look at, the 50 series GPUs.
Yep.
But so people are, there are plenty of people who are just like, and these are the tourists, right? That are like, oh, I don't want to play as a woman, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, Ciri's been in the central part of the narrative like forever. Pretty much it is just believed the canon ending of Witcher 3 is that Ciri becomes a Witcher as well. But then you get again the usual suspects like this fucking guy. Whereas the CD Projekt Red has been completely hit by the DEI ugly stick. What the fuck is this Ciri? And her voice actor is different too. It like there are other people that were doing full on like race science, like describing like how her facial features have changed, or like it's like this person has fetal alcohol syndrome or something like that.
If this man were in a room with this woman, he would pass out.
Yeah, dude. It's just these absolute goblins.
Like, what are we even talking about? These are the same dudes that are talking about Sydney Sweeney being ugly now today on the internet.
That was today, yeah, that was today. But like, let's see, like, you sound like this dude.
Yeah, literally.
There were, it's like people are like, comparing it to. People are comparing it to. This is like some weird fucking NetEase gotcha version of Ciri that has like airbrushed everything about her. But yeah, it's just like, fuck this guy, fuck all those people. But of course, game has woman, game is woke, game bad. Where it looks good to me. It looks good to me.
Good.
We honestly don't have a whole lot of time left, so my plans for this video have basically completely gone out the window. And I wanted to like intersperse with like, let's talk about this, and let's talk about, then we'll go to an award. Basically, like I wanted to talk about this one, like best game direction, largely because it's like, what does it mean? What does best game direction mean, right? Because more so than even film, games are a collective and collaborative effort that, has some type of overarching creative leadership, right? But like, how do you quantify that Astrobot had better game direction than any
except Balatro, because that's a card game?
But like everybody is, that's, you've just opened a whole nother can of worms there, that everybody's is all about like how dare Balatro be nominated for Game of the Year as it's just a fucking card game, and everyone will come at you now. It's like, oh, this guy obviously hasn't played Balatro. And I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna play it. I'm sure it's good. It's supposedly super addicting and with no monetization, which is beyond an upfront cost. Which good, that's cool. Great.
Yeah.
It's made by one person. Awesome. That's incredible. I'm glad it won the awards that it did. But like, for me, it's just like, and this is no slight against Astrobot. I'm just like, it's a toss-up for me. I couldn't tell you what for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. And I'm like, maybe you skip Elden Ring and Rebirth because they're sequels in a DLC, so not hitting the innovation area. So it's like maybe, I mean, like in Metaphor is like an iteration on Persona, so maybe that gets a tick. So it's like it does maybe come to these three: Astrobot, Balatro, and Black Myth. You know,
Yeah, sure. I'm willing to buy that, but
no, this is for me. This one was nothing about like, oh, I have strong opinions on someone should have won. Other than this one, it's more. It's like I don't understand this award.
no.
I don't know. I don't understand the criteria by which it's judged. So, and I don't know that the committee does either.
Agreed.
All right. If we're gonna do one other thing here, it's got to be this announcement, which is I think the biggest one from, because I can quickly just go over it, tied into the Witcher one. The one more thing bit was the new Naughty Dog game, which has
Okay.
a female character who shaves her head and is bald, and so of course, you know who is like,
Oh my god.
and it's like, so yeah, the Naughty Dog choice of protagonist is just so damn predictable that people just like, your balding ass took 8 years to make this.
Get him.
So
Get him.
yeah. You know, that's that you can fold into the same category as the Witcher thing. Is just people react to. I've made this comment now in multiple places. I said it to Matt earlier. It's like you all. And I'm using the pejorative you. You disgusting cretins. You don't like the Naughty Dog game because it has a woman and you think it's woke. I already don't like the game because Neil Druckmann is a Zionist. You know,
Yep.
we're not the same.
We are not the same.
So that's all I got to say on that one. Okay, but so this one
Fuck
is
Neil Druckmann.
This is the big deal. I'm just gonna let it play.
Okay. I recognize that. Interesting. Okay.
Seekers of redemption, you were chosen, thrown together by forces beyond their control.
There's so much I want to say about this, but I want to still just let it play out. Get your unadulterated
What is
opinions.
happening?
It should be clear at least that it's multiplayer.
Yeah.
Tragedy must be averted.
You won't know that, but that's like the Firekeeper from
And for
Dark
that-
Souls.
I need your help.
Wait, so this is confirming they're like in the same.
We'll talk about it. Like that's like animation from Sekiro. That
Yeah.
is the mega boss from Dark Souls 3. The silent or the not the silent. Is it the silent game? No, that's the
That's Matt's model.
yeah. I was like, what? Why am I blanking on his name?
All who dare approach.
Band together and prepare to
Cool.
the life of the Night Lord.
Nameless King. I don't know why. I don't know why that was my brain just turned off for a second.
Night Rain.
Okay, so
What is this? I am like,
it is a three-person co-op multiplayer in alternate Limgrave with that's like roguelike systems, a roguelike
okay.
boss rush where there's like weird battle royale shit mixed into it too. It's like
Huh.
the eagle is like your Fortnite battle bus, and the whole thing about the rain, the play on the word rain, is that you saw like that kind of blue fire rain thing shrinking. It's like the fucking storm in Fortnite. That it's like each run takes place over the course of 3 in-game days, and which is about like 15 minutes. And you start off as like an individual classes or like heroes almost with different kind of abilities. You're trying to build up your level and skills and whatever over the
So
course
it's
of this.
none of this is tied to your Elden Ring characters.
No, and this seems to be your question is like, is this saying that like these are interconnected worlds? And people may want to think so, but basically what we've read elsewhere in interviews that came out after this release, this announcement release, was like, yeah, basically we just thought it'd be fun to mash up everything. Like you saw, like there were basically like shinobi prosthetics from Sekiro. You've got bosses and NPCs from all the games. It's
Cool.
basically they're just like combining everything into this whole setting, and it's like you go out each day and you fight we'll call it a mini boss, even though they're like real bosses. You will fight a boss at the end of each day, and then if you make it through all 3 days, you fight a real boss. And some of those may be new, and it's like there's going to be like 8 of those, and you're doing these runs. So it's like roguelike. You do these runs, and I don't know if there's a sense of progression as you do more and more runs. So I don't know what to think of this. I honestly don't know what to think of this one. It's like, I want to do. You just got an announcement that you're recording.
Yeah.
Just went a little wonky. I'm sure it'll be fine. That this is like, yeah, this is just like a mashup. This is just something that they're giving to the B team to work on, to busy themselves. And I don't know, this like, could this be the rare From Software L, or is this going to surprise us? Is it going to be any fun? Like, it's the weird battle royale elements that just make me like nervous.
You're way more down on this. I trust them enough that I feel like this is gonna act. This like they've done it right. Like I trust them enough.
If anybody can do it, it's them, no doubt. I'm just worried. I don't like being someone. I don't care particularly. I don't know enough about lore beyond, or even in like the original Souls trilogy, right? I still need to like play those. I'm still a newcomer to these games. It's just the general kind of idea of, I don't like the idea of mixing the lore like this and just like, oh, just throw it together. Like, let's just like, there's nothing to read into here, and we're just doing it because it's fun. And I'm like, okay, fine, fair, but like that still bothers me.
I think that's a fair criticism, but like for me, this is going to come down to what they want to charge for it. If this is like a $40 to $50 or a $50-ish, $55 game, I'm pretty all in on that. Like I will give this a shot. I think it'll be a fun enough experience to be justified.
They've said that it won't be what they consider a live service game, that everything will be complete and unlockable on launch. That, yeah, there doesn't appear to be anything like, microtransactions or skins or anything like that. So that's kind of my feelings. Like, I don't know what to make of it. Like, I texted Matt last night about it because he's, the Souls veteran of the group, and he's like, yeah, this could end up being like kind of interesting and good, and I'm sure it's going to sell pretty well. And I like the idea of having a more seamless co-op thing that we can play through, and, in this universe. I think that could be fun. But I don't know, like, it's just, part of me just feels like this at the very least, I think it's going to be controversial, like a Dark Souls 2. Not that it's the same type of game, but like Dark Souls 2 was not made by the main team and is, kind of iffy because of it, and neither is this. So I don't know.
That's fair. I think there's reason to be hesitant, but like,
if anybody has earned the faith to try something new,
yeah. And I'm okay with them just playing in their own little sandbox for a go. Like, that's all right in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, so that's that. I guess I did say that I was gonna bring this in, so let's spend just a little bit of time hyping up Amir Satvat, who was awarded with the Game Awards inaugural Game Changer, and just I have a bit here from his acceptance speech. So I'll explain quickly what he does, though, is that he has created a community resource with other people, but that they are working to get people who have been affected by layoffs back into the industry. So this is all about offering career training, prep, resources, and like actual. They're collecting and collating all job availabilities and openings, and
that's fucking awesome.
Matching people with jobs. So here's his speech, or part of it.
Over the last 3 years, we've lost more than 34,000 jobs, a staggering amount of games experience eliminated. This has consequences. You can't make great games without great people.
Yeah, think about that for a second. All like the institutional knowledge that is just gone from so many of these companies.
I'm proud of so many of you who have already joined me to make an impact. And I really have to thank everyone in our community who gave all their time and commitment to build it. As we gather here tonight for this amazing celebration, I challenge everyone to ask themselves, what more can we each do to make our industry better? I dedicate this to my grandparents in heaven.
Yeah, it just gets emotional from this point out, and the man totally has his right to get emotional here. This is a big deal for him. It's like that's like the core message of the speech, and it was really impactful, and I think it really did a lot of good. I think that's all I'm gonna share with us today. We already went well over what I had hoped to make this video, but you live and you learn. The last couple of things that I'll just kind of rattle off for you and for you to maybe want to check out on your own is this weird new Pac-Man game that's tied into the also weird secret level episode that they did. It's basically a 1-to-1 thing there. It's weird. It's dark. It's it's odd. Check that out. I don't know if you ever played or were aware of The Outer Worlds by Obsidian, a fun kind of anti-corporate game it's got a sequel that's coming out. First look at gameplay. The new game from It Takes Two from Hazelight is. I did have a clip of that, but we simply don't have enough time. But I'd recommend going to check that out. That's coming out in March. That'll be here before we know it. Basically, the premise is like you're two writers who are hired by this company that can like simulate your story into real life, and of course the corporation is evil and they're trying to steal their ideas, and somehow the two worlds get mashed together. So the title of the game is called Split Fiction, and one is a sci-fi author, the other is a fantasy author, so you're switching back and forth each level, and you got the different gimmicks like that you do in It Takes Two. So it's very much kind of the spiritual sequel to It Takes Two. So
I like that idea. That's fun.
I know you enjoyed It Takes Two, so I thought you'd get a kick out of that one. The Borderlands 4 trailer. I want you to judge.
Yeah.
As the Borderlands player here, is it going to be any good?
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Also created some discourse. They actually brought in John Helldiver himself to announce the major update for they're dropping the Illuminate.
They are finally.
Hell
yeah.
huge update, so we may even have to jump back in soon to try that out. That's out now.
Okay. Second most hours played this year was that.
a bunch of new additions to other either IPs or from other studios. So a new Virtua Fighter, a new Turok, a new Onimusha, a sequel to Okami, and a currently unnamed game from the Shadow Colossus and Last Guardian and all those people. There was a Game of Thrones mobile slot game, and that's basically it. Again, I thought it was a great show. It has produced some good and of course mind-numbing discourse, so as to be expected, right?
Yep, naturally.
Andrew, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you making the time. Hopefully we can do more of this type of stuff in the future, and we will see you all for one more episode of the actual podcast this year, where we're going to do our version of the Game Awards. You can check out some written stuff on our Patreon, and just check out the socials, CampCon Pod, pretty much everywhere, or Campaign Comrades. Check it out. We appreciate you. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.